There's a statistic that financial gurus absolutely hate to talk about. In the real world, about 70% of lottery winners go completely broke within just a few years. Many end up worse off than before they won, bankrupt, addicted, or even dead. It's a real phenomenon called sudden wealth syndrome. When a person with a poverty mindset suddenly gets access to millions, they don't become wealthy. They just become a poor person with a lot of money to blow. Now, consider Harry Potter. At age 11, he goes from sleeping in a cupboard under the stairs, wearing Dudley's old rags, to opening Vault 687 at Gringotts. He stares at mountains of gold galleons, silver sickles, and bronze knuts. He is the ultimate lottery winner. He is uneducated, traumatized, and suddenly filthy rich. By all psychological profiles, Harry Potter should have crashed and burned. He should have been the wizarding world as MC Hammer, buying solid gold cauldrons and crashing expensive broomsticks by age 15. But he didn't. He survived the greatest financial test of all, having too much money too soon. Today, we are going to analyze the psychology of why Harry Potter didn't become a financial disaster, and the brutal truth about why you probably would. Let's dive into the psychology of extreme deprivation, what I call the enough mindset. Why do lottery winners buy 10 Ferraris? Because they are trying to fill a void. They crave a status they never had. But Harry didn't have that void. He had a much deeper, darker one. Harry wasn't just poor. He was abused and deprived of basic human necessities by the Dursleys. He didn't crave status. He craved normalcy. He craved safety. When he got the gold, his first instinct wasn't to buy a golden robe to show off to Malfoy. His first instinct was to buy his school supplies, the bare necessities to fit into this new world. Think about that famous scene on the Hogwarts Express. The trolley which comes by. Harry has pockets full of gold. What does he buy? He buys some of everything. Not to hoard it, but to share it with Ron Weasley, a kid he just met who was stuck with corned beef sandwiches he hated. Harry didn't use money for consumption. He used it for connection. He used it to buy the one thing the Dursleys never gave him, a friend. When you have truly starved, a full plate is enough. You don't need the whole buffet. Harry had an intuitive grasp of enough that most modern billionaires still don't understand. Next, let's talk about the anti-entourage and why Ron Weasley basically saved Harry's soul. In the real world, when you win the lottery, the sharks start circling. Distant cousins, fake friends, investment scammers. Your environment becomes toxic. Harry's financial survival depended almost entirely on who he sat next to on that first train ride. Fate intervened. He sat next to Ron Weasley. Ron is the crucial financial anchor in Harry's life. Ron comes from an old wizarding family that has absolutely no money. Ron knows the pain of scarcity. He wears hand-me-down robes. He uses a broken wand. Because Harry loved and respected Ron, he couldn't just flash his cash around. It would have been deeply insulting to his best friend. Ron's presence forced Harry to remain humble and grounded. He lived a Weasley lifestyle funded by a Potter fortune. Now, imagine the alternate universe. Imagine if Harry had sat next to Draco Malfoy. Draco is the archetype of old money toxicity. He uses wealth as a weapon to degrade others. If Harry had fallen into Draco's crowd, the vault at Gringotts would have been empty by their third year. He would have become just another entitled rich kid bully. Harry's Environmentron's humility and Hermione's logic acted as a firewall against the corruption of sudden wealth. Finally, let's look at how Harry actually used his money when he grew up a bit. He never once uses it for status. You never see him buying expensive dress robes for the Yule Ball. He wears what Mrs. Weasley sends him. The only significant purchases he makes are tools for his job, being a seeker, and fighting dark wizards or acts of genuine altruism. The biggest financial move Harry ever made was giving his Triwizard Tournament winnings 1,000 galleons to Fred and George Weasley. This wasn't charity. It was seed funding. Harry saw talent and passion in the twins that nobody else took seriously. He invested in disruptive innovation. and that investment created Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, the most successful new business in Diagon Alley. Harry uses capital to empower others, not to elevate himself. That is the difference between someone who has money and someone who is truly wealthy. So, the conclusion is this: the real magic wasn't the gold. We love Harry Potter because we think the fantasy is fighting dragons and flying on brooms. But the biggest fantasy in that story is a lonely, damaged kid inheriting a fortune and not letting it destroy his soul. Harry Potter didn't survive because he was special. He survived because his trauma gave him a perspective on what truly matters, and his friends kept him from forgetting it. The uncomfortable lesson here is this: if you woke up tomorrow with $100 million in your bank account, you probably wouldn't be Harry Potter. You'd probably be the statistic. You'd probably buy the Lamborghinis and alienate your real friends. Real wealth isn't the number. In Vault 687, it has having the character to know when you have enough, and having friends who love you even when your pockets are empty. That's the only magic that money can't buy. Class dismissed.